One day, Gerald and another tank engine called Nicholas were chatting at Knapford Harbor. They were talking about the recent events that have occurred on the island. Before they could say anything else, a loud whistle could be heard. "Who's that?" asked Gerald, who had never met Thomas before. "That's Thomas," said Gerald. "He works in the yard with me." And there it was. Thomas was rushing down the bend to tell Nicholas something. "Nicholas, you're never going to believe it," said Thomas. "But wait, who's that?" asked Thomas. "Oh, that's Gerald," said Nicholas. "But anyway, what did you want to say, Thomas?" "Oh, yeah, that. Well, the Fat Director has loaned other engines from other railways to help us out here, and some of them will be arriving today." "That's great, Thomas, but do we know anything about them?" "No, but I'm sure we're gonna find out more later down the line." "Well, that sounds amazing, but now I have to get my train to Wellsworth. Ta-ta, you two." Nicholas dozed off at Wellsworth Station, but abruptly got woken up by another engine. He was about to ask who and what until he saw a pink-covered Adam enter the station. Adam, seeing Nicholas, approached him with a very, very salty look. "Do I even want to know what happened to you?" "No, you don't, but I'm gonna tell you anyway. So, I was at Brendam Docks when I accidentally bumped into a truck filled with orange paint and it splattered all over me. But the worst part is that now I have to pull a passenger train like this." But fortunately for Adam, that wouldn't be the case, as one of the loan engines Thomas mentioned earlier was making their way to Knapford Station. "Is this Knapford Station? If it is, my, it's very small. And who's that clanky little box over there?" "That clanky little box has a name, you know." Well, be useful for once in your life and escort me to your Knapford station, is it called? I'm quite useful, thank you very much, which is why I can't just drop everything just because you can't find your way to Knapford station. Go there yourself, you pompous whale. Ugh, what a disgraceful attitude. How you get anywhere in life with that is beyond me. I get by very easily, thank you very much. Now, I don't have time for this anymore. I have to get ready for my passenger train. Ugh. Who gave you a passenger train of any sort? A drunk? And before the two engines could mutter out any insults, Nicholas stopped them. Okay, guys, listen. So, since Adam's already dirty, maybe we should have this big green engine pull it. Because, I mean, Adam, you're not really in the shape to pull a passenger train. No offense. None taken. Okay, fine. If this green buffoon gets my passengers to Knapford Station safely, then sure. Then it's settled. I'm gonna go get his coaches. Ugh, about time, little one. You know, the tank engines on the mainland are way faster than you. Oh, I'm sorry. Would you want me to bash the coaches in your tender? Because I'm welcome to do so. I get no respect on this line. But don't worry, youngster. I'll whip you into shape one day. It'll be a cold day in hell before you whip any of us into shape, you pompous brat. The level of disrespect on this line is appalling. And with that, the guard blew his whistle, and the big green engine set off. And there goes Mr. Nice Guy. My god, his attitude is appalling. He won't last long here. When Albert and Edward saw the big engine roar into the station, they were most ecstatic and wanted a chance to talk to him. Unfortunately for them, the big engine didn't share the same level of enthusiasm, so he just puffed away with a loud puff. The big engine was obviously exhausted from the trip, so he slid onto the turntable, turned around, and puffed into the old sheds. When the big engine puffed into the sheds, he saw a silver tank engine resting peacefully in the berth next to him. But not a moment later, the engine's fireman came to fire him up to get him ready for the day. When he was all fired up, he saw a big green engine next to him. Ugh, what is an old relic like you doing here? Are you a museum piece? Old relic? I'll have you know that I'm a perfectly young and fresh 78. Ugh, don't tell me you're working on this line, 'cause if you are, this line is doomed. If you came here to work, then we for sure are doomed. I have to go, you see. Unlike you, I don't have time to sit on my bunker all day. In fact, I'm a very busy engine. Now, good day. Are you okay, Thomas? You look terrible. I'm fine for the most part. It's just I had to shunt these very big coaches next to me, and they were extremely heavy. Is that all? Don't worry, Thomas. You'll be fine. And anyway, the fat director has ordered another tank engine to work in the yard, so you won't be as overworked. Well, that's good to hear. When do you think they'll be arriving? Can't say. It might be a while, but they'll for sure come today, Thomas. Don't you worry. But the engine already arrived, only Rugby didn't want to wait for him, so he just left him at the other railway, and he was now rushing down the line to get to Knapford Station on time. Soon, the engine arrived at Knapford Station. He was very tired and exhausted. He looked around and saw no one was there, so he assumed he was alone. But not for long, because Thomas was just packing up while shunting some trucks. Thomas noticed the engine, so he puffed up right next to him so he could introduce himself. Oh hey, you must be one of the engines I was told about. What's your name? I don't have a name, said the engine. Well, that isn't right. Everyone deserves a name. Well, except those silly troublesome trucks, smirked Thomas. Now, what about Tyler? How does that sound? It's okay, I guess. It's better than nothing. Now, you wait for me here while I go finish up some work, then we'll go to the sheds together. And with that, Thomas puffed away. Later that evening, Gordon had returned from a long express run, and when he backed up into the sheds, he saw another big engine like him, and he was very pleased. Ah, it's so nice to have another express engine among us, said Gordon. That's hardly relevant, said Albert. Edward and Thomas used to be express engines, and Henry's an express engine too. I'll give you that one. Thomas and Edward were the express engines at one point, but this time is now, and I'm the express engine. And also, Henry is completely useless. Henry heard what Gordon said about him, and he felt very bad for himself. Soon enough, Thomas had arrived to the sheds, and he was looking forward to a nice rest. Tyler came with him, and he too was looking forward to a rest. Ah, crud. The sheds are full, said Thomas. I don't know about you, Tyler, but I'm gonna go sleep elsewhere, and Thomas puffed away. Tyler, not knowing what else to do, followed Thomas. Next day, Thomas and Tyler were shunting in the yards, but Tyler was looking a bit sad. Are you okay, Tyler? You look as blue as the sky, said Thomas. Well, it's just I thought I'd be getting out more. Instead, I'm in the yards all day, and it's noisy, and it's hot, and it's just stressing me out. Thomas had a very naughty idea. How about you come to the lead mines with me later today? Timothy can't do all the work on his own, so the fat director asked me to come help him. Well, that sounds lovely. Just what I need. Then it's settled. You're coming with me. But what about the shunting? I am more than positive that Nicholas can do the work on his own. The engines wasted no time getting to work at the lead mines. Thomas, Timothy, and Tyler would bring empty cars from the big yards up to the lead mines so the miners could fill them with lead. And once they were filled with lead, they would take it back to the big station. The three engines worked splendidly together, and with their conjoined efforts, the day's work was near completion. Thomas and Tyler, you've been doing a good job helping Timothy at the lead mines, but you need to return to the big yards. Nicholas is struggling and can't do the work on his own. Thomas and Tyler chuckled to each other. Right away, sir, said Thomas. That's a good engine. Now chop chop. Nicholas is basically drowning in trucks. Well, you heard the man, Tyler. Come on, let's go. Coming, Thomas, said Tyler, and with that, the two engines left. Timothy found that he was all alone now that they've left, but he didn't mind, so he just went to go get some more trucks for the miners to load up with lead. Timothy had returned to the mines earlier than expected, so the miners were still mining in the mine looking for more lead, so Timothy just decided to wait for them until they came back up. But what Timothy didn't notice that he was standing over the danger zone. The danger zone was a section of track that went over an underground mine, which could handle trucks, but engines, that was a different story. So because Timothy didn't realize he was standing over it, he just waited there until the miners came up with the lead. Finally, Timothy's trucks were loaded and he was ready to depart with his train. But the silly trucks had different ideas. You see, engines like Albert, Timothy, and Edward had a handle on troublesome trucks, but these were new trucks and Timothy still hadn't been able to handle them. So when Timothy tried to pull the trucks out of the siding, he couldn't. The trucks held back. Come on, you silly trucks! We can't stay here! Soon enough, Edward came with the fat director to help Timothy out of the mine. Are you okay, Timothy? Asked the fat director. I've been better, sir, said Timothy. Well, don't you worry, Timothy. We will go to every possible length to make you feel better. How does that sound? I appreciate the offer immensely, sir, but I'm already an old engine, and my time is nearly up, and I'd rather go out in my own terms. Look, Timothy, I wanted to honor your wishes, I really do, but I just can't. I have to think for the whole railway, and right now, we just can't afford to lose an engine. Okay, sir, I understand. But maybe somewhere in the future, like in a few years, can we talk about it then? Because by then I'll probably be 100 years old, maybe even older. Alright, Timothy. Sounds like a deal. But now, Edward, please take Timothy to the works to get repaired. Snow had come to the island of Sodor. Although it hadn't fallen hard, it was still very difficult to deal with. The engines soon found that the icy rails weren't helping them with heavier goods trains or passenger trains, and would often struggle to depart. But nevertheless, Adam would never let Snow stop him, who was one day waiting for Skarloey to arrive with his train at Crovan's gate. Finally, Skarloey slowly trundled into the station, very late and tired. What kept you? I've been waiting here for almost an hour. I'm sorry, Adam, but the snow is really bad in the mountains. I barely made it down here safely. Pugh! Outrageous! Snow is silly soft stuff. I would never let it stop me from doing my work on time. That's all well and good, Adam, but I'm a narrow gauge engine. I'm smaller than you, and the snow is harder to get through. I don't care what gauge you are, little one. You still need to keep time. Engines like me don't have time to wait for you all day. Before Skarloey could say anything else, Adam rushed out of the station, seething with anger. Skarloey was very ticked off at what Adam said to him, and so was Renius when he came along. Who does that red rocket think he is? Fumed Renius. I know. I struggled down the line to deliver his train, only for him to shout at me for no reason. He'll get what's coming to him, cried Renius. Later, Adam was returning back down the line with a passenger train. When he was approaching Lesworth, he saw Emily and Lily talking in a siding. They had a few more hours left until they had to go back to work, but Adam didn't know that. So when he passed Wellsworth, he cried, "Stop gossiping in the sun when there's work to be done." Emily and Lily were speechless. Who does that Adam think he is to think he can boss us around? I don't know, Emily, but next time I see him, I'll make sure to tear him a new one. When Adam finished with his passenger run, he rushed into the shed so he can get a rest when he saw Edward there. I heard what you said about Skarloey. How could you say that? He's smaller than you, remember? The snow is harder for him. I honestly don't care why he's late. The only thing I care for is him arriving in the station in time. I ain't waiting all day for him and his geezer buggy to arrive at the station in time. Edward's boiler pressure rose up. It's not his fault the snow is falling hard on his line. He and Renius are trying their best to keep the time, and they're doing the best they can. There's only 2 of them running the line. Excuses, excuses, and excuses. That's all I've been hearing all morning. You know what? I'm not gonna stand around here and be berated by you, Edward. Good day. And with that, Adam angrily puffed away. What are engines coming to these days? Thought Edward. Adam was in the station, trying to cool off a bit, when Regaby came to pick up his passenger train. What are you doing here, you oversized whale? I see you found your way to Knapford, snapped Adam. I'm doing my job like any proper engine and picking up my train. What are you doing here, you oversized rocket ship? Trying to cool down from old geezers and Las Vegas showgirls slacking on their bunkers. What's it to you? Regaby had a naughty idea. He wanted to get back at Adam, so he formed a plan. Oh, well, my deepest apologies, said Regaby slyly. Some engines like us want to do good work, hard work, but other engines just want to slack off, and it's our responsibility to whip them up in shape. Adam, who was completely oblivious to what Rugby was actually doing, quickly followed. "You're right, Rugby," said Adam. "Engines like us work hard all day, while some just dawdle in stations all day and daydream. We should totally whip them up in shape, to quote you," said Adam. "Now there's a smart engine," said Rugby. "Now, I've got to go. If I want to be really useful, I have to pull my trains on time. Let's show them what actual engines can do." And with that, he quickly puffed away. When Rugby left, Adam felt very high and mighty about himself, and had an idea. Now, every time Adam would see Lily or Emily, he would sometimes say things like, hurry up, you're going too slow." Or things like, "Stop sitting in the sun all day and do some work for once." Of course, Emily and Lily would always be angry with him whenever he said this, but sometimes it felt like he was targeting Emily. You see, Emily only had one driving wheel, the big wheel, which meant that sometimes, whenever she tried to pull out a big train, she would slip on the rails, and this was very frequent, especially with the icy rails. And finally, Lily and Emily had had enough. So one night, when Emily was backing in the sheds, she and Lily had a very heated discussion. "What is going on?" said Emily. "When I first met him, he was very nice and pleasant, but now he is just passive-aggressive and horrid. I will not stand for this behavior." "That makes the two of us. What is going on with him? I mean, he was always uptight, but never this much." "He might be letting his ego get to his smoke box. But don't fret, my dear. I got a plan. Listen, next time he talks to you in a disrespectful manner, send his words right back to him. Make him chew them up real nicely. You got it?" "Got it. Don't worry, Emily, my dear. I will make him pay for all the hurtful things he said to us." "Good. He won't get away with this, Lily, my dear. He will feel every hurtful thing he said to us." Next day, Emily and Lily were still grumpy about the things that Adam said to them, and were still formulating what they'll say to him next time they meet. Later, Emily was filling up with coal, still thinking about what she'll say to Adam, when he rolled along. "Okay, Emily, that's enough. That's your third load for the day. Engines will start thinking that you're greedy." "Excuse me, what did you just say to me? My tender is completely empty. I can't run without any coal, you idiot." "Excuse yourself," said Adam. "You and Lily are traveling down the line like you're too fat to move a single truck. I am the only one trying to keep to time." "Too fat to move a single truck? How dare you? At least me and Lily are careful and don't smash into random trucks filled with orange paint." "Now, I don't have time to deal with your nonsense, so I'm out of here." And Emily rushed off. Adam was speechless. His face had turned as red as his paint. He did not like being reminded of the time that he smashed into a truck filled with orange paint, covering him completely in orange paint. He looked absolutely ridiculous. He was so mad he was gritting his teeth together. "I will teach her and Lily a lesson if it's the last thing I do," scowled Adam. Later, Adam was filling up with water at the sheds, trying to think of ways to pay Emily out. While he was plotting his plans, he was watching as engines climbed onto a bridge that went over Knapford Harbor. The Fat Director had built it so that heavier engines and heavier trains could go over Knapford Harbor without having to struggle going through the tight bends. He was so deep in thought that he almost didn't notice the snap of a coupling and a warning guard's whistle. "Well, that's strange. We haven't a guard," said Adam. The guard's whistle that Adam heard was for the line of trucks rushing down the line. But there was more trouble. Harwin was on the same line as the rushing trucks. Suddenly, the signalman switched the trucks onto a different line, and they nearly hit Harwin. But there was more trouble. The trucks were on the same line as Adam now, and they drifted and crashed right into Adam, pushing him into the turntable well. The silly cars had broken away from their engine and rushed down the line and hit into poor Adam, who fell in the turntable well. He felt bruised and amused. Soon, Nicholas arrived with the breakdown gang. Later, when Adam was back on the tracks, the Fat Director came to talk to him while Nicholas was cleaning up the mess. "Now, Adam, the accident wasn't your fault, and thank God you haven't sustained much damages, so you might be back by next week. But anyways, I've heard the ways you've been talking to Lily, Emily, and Skarloey, and what I have to say is I'm very disappointed in you." "Yes, sir. I'm sorry, sir," said Adam. "Once you get back from the works, you'll apologize to all three of them, then it's straight to shunting duties with you. Do I make myself clear?" "Yes, sir. I understand, sir." "Now then," said the Fat Director, "Tyler will take you to the works, and I want no nonsense from either of you. Understood?" "Yes, sir." "All right then. Tyler, please take Adam to the works." And with that, the two engines set off. So, do you want to talk about what happened with you and the Fat Director? Well, nothing really happened with me and him specifically, only with Skarloey, Emily, and Lily. And Adam explained everything. Well, that was quite a story. But it was kinda Ragaby's fault for getting in your head. But you weren't any better for listening to his advice. I know. I guess this was Karma's way of getting back at me. Now I'm just trying to figure out how to make it up to them. I don't really have any good ideas. I guess you'll just have to figure this out on your own. But if you ask me, I would start with apologizing, and maybe giving them space if they want to. I guess that makes sense. I really hope I can patch things up with them. I'm sure you will. Just give it some time, and you'll see. I don't really hope that Tyler was right, and I'm happy to say that he was. While he was at the works, Adam got a chance to talk to Timothy, and boy oh boy did Timothy scold Adam. And also, Adam got a chance to apologize to Skarloey, and they forgave each other. And following his return from the works, he made amends with his fellow colleagues, and all was well again. Timothy would also soon return from the works, and everyone was ecstatic to see him again. And following Timothy's return, he would embark on a very, very special trip, but that is a story for another day. One dark and moonlit night, Edward was returning to the yard with a freight train from Vickerstown. He was very tired and was looking forward to a nice earned rest. He was just about to leave for the sheds when he saw a very unexpected engine in the yards. Gerald, started Edward, what are you doing here? Shunting, Edward. What does it look like? Well, I see that you're shunting, but why are you even here? I thought you were working on the Farquhar branch line. I was, until Thomas thought it would be a good idea to smash through a wall. Now I'm here doing his work. Well, anyways, why are you even shunting so late? My train was supposed to be the last one for the day. Eagle came in late with a passenger train. According to him, he was late at Crosby, and the coaches I'm shunting right now are his. Okay, well, have fun. I'm off to my nice warm sheds, said Edward awkwardly, and he puffed away. Later, when Edward arrived back to the newly built sheds, he saw the big engines laughing with each other. When Edward gathered what they were talking about, he wasn't happy at all. Are you guys still seriously banging on about Thomas's accident? It happened almost 3 days ago. Give it a rest already, fumed Edward. Watch your tone, little Edward, and we're rightfully laughing at him. Did you hear what he called me at the station? And, continued Raggaby, the accident was hilarious. Imagine crashing through a shed wall. My goodness, you would never see that with me. Edward just gave an angry sigh. He was too tired and quite frankly too old to deal with this, so he chose not to say anything else. Thankfully, the others were doing it for him. First, Eagle spoke. You're right there, Raggaby, said Eagle. We would never see you crashing through a shed wall, but we might see much worse. Eagle is right, said Colin. And I don't know why you think the accident was funny. Either you're really stupid, or you just have a bad sense of humor. My sense of humor is all right, you little rugrat, snapped Raggaby. And you little engines are so defensive. The moment we say something bad about you, you immediately start jumping on us like wild animals. Oh, just you wait, Raggaby, said Colin. I remember an engine who called me exactly that, and he ended up in huge trouble. And who was that? Colin chuckled. Why, it was our dear old Edward when he first arrived. Yes, I remember he had the exact same attitude as you two. Don't make me laugh. You expect me to believe that feeble old Edward actually called you a quote-unquote rugrat? Actually, Raggaby, chimed in Edward, Colin would be correct. Back when I first arrived, I had the exact same attitude as you two, and boy oh boy did things end up bad for me. Okay, and so, said Gordon, is this going to turn into one of your mainline stories? Mocked Gordon. Actually, Gordon, Edward will be telling you nothing. I'll be telling you the whole story. Now shut up. You might learn something for once. Before the Northwestern Railway came of age, there was 3 railways on the island. The Tidmouth and Elsbridge Light Railway, the Sauter and Greenland Railway, and the Wellsworth and Suttery Railway. Once grouping on the main line started, we were all conjoined into one railway, and the head of directors got 2 engines. A little older K2 that came from the Furness Railway, and the small E2 that came from the London and Brighton South Coast Railway. The K2 was called Edward, and he would run express trains up and down the main line every day all into the night. And the little tank engine was called Thomas, who would shunt in the yards and sometimes venture out down the main line. Whenever Thomas was too busy, I would be called down to Napa from the Wellsworth and Suttery line to shunt in the yards, and oftentimes I would have to shunt Edward's Express, and we hated each other. Edward was as pompous and rude as you two back then, believe it or not, and he seriously got on my nerves. Even when I wasn't shunting in the yards, we would see each other at Wellsworth whenever he passed by, and we would snarl rude comments and insults to each other. And almost every evening, I would be complaining to Adam and Lily about my troubles with Edward. To quote them, they got tired of my nonsense. One day, Thomas was busy elsewhere, so of course, I was called down to shunt at the yards. And of course, I had to get Edward's train ready, and I was not happy one bit. And once I arrived to the platform with the coaches, Edward greeted me with a snood remark, saying that if I didn't hurry, that he would be late. Of course, I wasn't happy when I heard this, so let's just say I returned the favor. Later, I was pulling a small freight train to Walsworth. I was still a bit grumpy about the whole Edward dilemma, and was not focusing on what I was doing. If I had been focusing, maybe I would have realized that the point was set to crash. You see, there are these points along the main line that are used for runaways to derail them. And I wasn't focusing, so I completely rushed over the points and headed straight for it. And before I knew it, I was off the rails. I had hit into an electrical pole. And it's safe to say that I felt very bruised and bemused. Later, when Edward arrived with the breakdown crane, he found it a very good joke, and said something along the lines of, "Hello, busted boiler." I just glared at him while he was laughing so hard his boiler could burst. The next day, the mayor of Peel Gorge was visiting the line to see how things were going, and Edward was tasked to pull the special train. He was very honored, and he might have let it get into his smoke box. Soon enough, Edward was coupled up to his coaches and he departed from Knapford. Now, the trip went well, but when he arrived at the end of the line, the mayor complained that Edward was a bit too bumpy, and when he got back into the yards, me or Thomas weren't available to shunt his coaches, so he had to do it on his own, and he wasn't happy one bit. Having to shunt his own coaches and coupled with the rude remark the mayor made, Edward was fuming and wasn't paying attention to what he was doing, until he heard a loud crash. Edward immediately stopped and looked to see what had happened. Edward was not paying attention and he crashed one of his coaches off the rails and into one of the station yard buildings. Soon after, I arrived back to the yards with the breakdown crane to help Edward, and boy oh boy did I rip onto him. Well, hello, busted boiler. Lovely day, isn't it? I mean, I heard about crashing off track points, but to crash your coaches off the rails and hit into a station yard building, why, my goodness. Oh well, the accident wasn't entirely your fault. And also, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not today, but one day I can see you becoming a fine and well-respected engine. You just need to work on your attitude towards others. What? What do you mean? Why are you being so nice to me, after I was so rude and disrespectful towards you? Well, as I like to sometimes say, one small gesture at a time, it will go far. And that one small gesture went very far. Now, nowadays, you might not see Edward pull glamorous express trains anymore, but he looks just as grand with smelly old trucks as he did with the Premier Express train. And that, my friends, is a lesson to remember. And that's the whole story. What do you guys think? Although you never touched on it when Edward called you a rugrat, the story was quite charming. Hey Eagle, you worked with Edward on the Furness Railway, didn't you? You got any interesting stories? Yes, I very much do. A lot has happened on the old FR. If y'all don't mind, I'ma hit the hay. Oh well, the old engine's tired. What do you think, Oh. For Edward was so tired and happy, he fell asleep smiling buffer to buffer. Snow had buffeted the island of Sodor, but that wasn't going to stop the engines. They wanted to be really useful and really reliable, and they weren't going to let any snow stop them doing just that. Snow could be trouble, no mistake, but there were some aspects that I liked about it, like how it looked so pretty in the countryside, and it reminded them a lot of Christmas. But that didn't mean that every engine liked snow. You see, Howard never liked snow, even though being a nice and easygoing engine, he despised snow. And to add on to his hatred, since the snow fell so hard, the line he was supposed to work on his own was completely covered and unclearable, so he had to work in the yards. To satisfy his frustrations, the bad director sometimes has him travel out the yards with slow goods or local passenger trains. But I'm sorry to say, that did no good. One afternoon, Holland was resting in a siding, feeling very ticked off, when Edward arrived. Hello, Howard. How are we feeling today? Oh, how am I feeling? Let's see. First, both my driver and fireman call out sick. I am overworked, and I'm cold, and I'm sick and tired of the snow. Here I am, finishing constructing a branch line, and then I get promised to work on my own line, only for Mother Nature to come and bite me in the bunker. Oh well. But hey, at least you get to work near your friends. Lucky me, I get to listen to big engines moaning and groaning about me being too slow in the yards, and that I'm basically dragging myself across the line. Don't take what they say too seriously. You know that Gordon can get cranky sometimes. Sure, sometimes. You have got to be kidding me. Has the fat director gotten more engines? I guess he has, chuckled Edward. And with that, a big, flashy red engine was rushing down the line towards Knapford. When Henry saw him pass by, he almost jumped off the tracks. Edward was most surprised. Hallwyn genuinely didn't care. Oh, hello, started Edward. Who might you be? My name is the Flying Thistle, but you can call me Broderick. The Flying Thistle is a bit awkward, don't you think? I guess you would be right. So, are you staying on the island long? Temporarily. I'm one of the engines your fat director loaned. Now, by chance, has my friend Rebecca arrived yet? She's a big green engine. No, I can't say she has. Before anyone could say anything else, another engine arrived. Hello, said the engine. I'm Rebecca. Is this the right place? It most certainly is. Welcome to the Northwestern Railway, the both of you. Splendid. I'm glad I'm in the right place. And I'm so excited to work on this island. I've heard a lot about it, and the engine's working on it. I suppose you must be Edward? No fooling you. But yes, you would be right. I'm Edward, the number 2. Amazing. Me and Roderick can't wait to meet the others. And I'm happy to say that Roderick and Rebecca got on well with the others once they met. Roderick, my dear engine, where were you this whole time? I haven't seen you since I left the Great Northern Railway. Well, I wasn't hiding anywhere, Gordon, chuckled Roderick. But in all seriousness, after you left, I was still stationed on the Great Northern Railway, only on a different part of it. I would run local trains all the way from the main station to the end of the line. It was great fun. Well, I'm just happy to see that you're well. How are the rest of us A-Zeros? Oh, they're very well, Gordon, but we still very much missed you after you left. Bless their souls. Hey, once you're back on the GNR, please tell them that I miss them very much and hope to see them soon in the future. Don't worry, Gordon. That is the least I can do. And hey, who's your friend over there? That big green fellow. My, does he look smart. Oh, thank you. I'm Rugby. Well, you're welcome, Rugby. Say, I haven't worked with an LMS engine yet. What's it like over there? Well, it isn't much different from the GNR from what Gordon told me. A working company. It serves its purpose. Filled with top Link Express engines like me and Gordon. Meanwhile, while the big engines were gossiping loudly, Edward, Eagle, and Rebecca found that they enjoyed each other's company and enjoyed talking to each other about the various adventures they had. So it was winter, just like this, and Albert was pulling a local passenger train when he was heading into a tunnel and a snow pile fell on him. He was stuck. After I was told that he had to be dug out, his coaches and passengers weren't quite happy about the whole dilemma. Wow, that was interesting. Say, Edward, you haven't said anything all evening. Do you have any stories to share? Oh, me? No way. Eagle's the one who's locked and loaded with gossip, chuckled Edward. I can see that, laughed Rebecca. Say, is there any more engines on the line? Oh, yes. We have a whole flock of tank engines. As a matter of fact, I don't know where they are right now. Meanwhile, since the sheds at Knapford were full, some of the tank engines had to make do with the old Sidmouth and Elsbridge Light Railway sheds. Gentlemen, we have a very pressing matter to talk about. Those big engines have taken over our sheds at Knapford, and tonight we shall strike, take them by surprise, and kick them right out of our sheds. Oh, lay off it, Thomas. The big engines haven't taken over our sheds. It's just that 2 new engines arrived, and now we have less space at Knapford sheds. And coincidentally enough, the 2 new engines happen to be tender engines. Coincidence? I think not. So tonight, we shall strike them hard when they're most vulnerable.
Calm down, Thomas. At least we still have sheds to sleep in. I don't mean to be snooty or rude, but this old shack will never pass as a respectable engine shed. What are young engines coming to these days? Mumbled Timothy. I'm with Thomas on this one. I don't boast, but back on the good old GWR, our sheds were kept in top link. But these sheds, they're rusty and dusty. You will never see such a sight on the Great Western Railway. I quite like it here, said Nicholas. Oftentimes, whenever the sheds are full at Knapford, I just sleep here for the night, and it's most comfortable. You guys see that? Gerald is grateful for the sheds we have. The engines argued all evening, and were arguing till the sun came up. They were still arguing until the fat director arrived to deliver some news. Hello, engines. I hope you're well this morning, because I'm going to need the three of you to head over to Tidmouth and help me act out a project I've been doing. I won't go in detail about the project, but what I will say is that I'm constructing a new sheds and yards. So Thomas, Nicholas, and Neil, I need you to head over to the construction site and help with whatever's needed. And once the fat director finished speaking and walked away, Thomas had an naughty idea. You know, said Thomas slyly, I wonder how those big engines would feel if we didn't let them in the new sheds. Timothy immediately spoke up. Get that idea out of your smoke box, he said. Those sheds will be for everyone, and you have no power to say who comes in and who comes out of them. You got it? Although Thomas had heard what Timothy said, the idea still never left his smoke box. Soon, the three engines got to work immediately, moving flatbeds and trucks wherever they were needed and whenever they were needed. They worked very hard, and were keen on doing a good job. Every day, just like clockwork, Roderick would arrive with a long train of supplies from Knapford Harbor and deliver at one of the sidings at the construction sites, where one of the three agents who worked there would sort out of the train after he left. And whenever it was needed, Gerald would arrive to the construction site with the train of stone. And whenever he would arrive with such train, the engines were delighted to see him. They liked Gerald. And the cherry on top was that the fat director had sent Harwin to help. Harwin was very delighted to be there, and as a bonus, Harwin already had experience helping with constructing things. One day, Thomas and Neil were traveling down the line with a train of empties. They were starting to pile up in the yards and were getting in the way. Thomas was more than capable to pull the train on his own, but ever since the accident with Henry's trucks, the workmen didn't trust him, so they made Neil go with him. Hello, Neil, little Thomas. How are you this afternoon? How's the construction going? Roderick was just telling me all the progress you've made. Fine show indeed. Thomas, who still felt a bit salty towards Gordon, didn't say anything. Neil noticed this and spoke up. Thank you, Gordon. Construction is going well, and actually, we did such a good job that we're expected to finish earlier than intended. Well, good job to all of you. You see, Roderick, just like I said, maybe there is use for these little bugs after all, chuckled Gordon. Now, what Gordon said was wrong. Roderick knew this and was about to speak up, but Thomas was already doing that for him. You know what? You know what you are, Gordon? You're a big, fat, lazy sausage on wheels who wouldn't know what hard work is if it bit you in the tender! Gordon and Roderick were surprised. What did you just say, you insolent little tank engine? Insolent? Me? Insolent? Ever since you arrived on this island, you have been terrorizing me and every little engine. But this ends today, you big, fat, steamy pile of scrap iron! Gordon was very mad. No one had spoken to him like that ever. Well, little Thomas, I see how it is. Goodbye, gentlemen, he said very angrily, and he puffed away with his express. Late that night, when all the other engines heard about the whole ordeal, Timothy and Thomas had a very heated discussion. Please tell me that all the things that Roderick said you said are false. Okay, I won't. You think you're so clever by yelling in the station like a lunatic. What kind of example is that setting off? Oh, you wanna know what kind of example we're setting off? An example that we aren't afraid to tell off kids who have wrongfully shamed us. There are more civil and respectful ways to deal with such issues, and you, my friend, have chosen the very, very wrong one. You think I'm afraid of you? I just told off Gordon today. I am not afraid to do the same thing with you. Oh, I dare you, boyo. I dare you. Try and tell me off and see what happens. Okay, Timothy, can you respectively shut up? What in the hell did you just say to me? You heard me, you old. Where in the are you learning these words? Edward? What? Edward, there's a creepy old man behind his station giving off lessons to little children. I happened to stop by and listen on a few. You guys, we're starting to attract public attention. What am I, you? Someone stop them. You're an insolent. Oh, no. Oh, this is better than Friends and Files. Yeah, Friends and Files. What's that? You're a show I'm watching. Now shush. You know what, Thomas? I am tired of this. I'm going to bed. I am not dealing with this anymore. Fine then. Good night. And that was that. All the engines went to sleep before Neil started watching Friends and Files, a very family-friendly show, which we'll never talk about ever again. Next day, Thomas was pulling a very heavy train, but he wasn't paying attention to what he was doing, and because of that, he was heading straight for the sheds. Thomas, watch out! Cried Neil. Thomas the Tank Engine, what are you playing at? What? Just what? I am not afraid of confusion, Thomas, but I am of delay, and you've caused nothing but delay. Just what were you playing at? Why were you pulling a train that heavy so fast? And I also heard about your little kerfuffle yesterday at Knapford Station. Once you get back from the works, you shall stay in your shed until I say otherwise. You understand? Yes, sir. I'm sorry, sir. I should hope so. Now Gordon here will take you to the works.
One evening, Adam was backing up into the sheds at Knapford. He was still feeling a bit down about his accident that he had. Good evening, Adam. Did they fix you up good at the works? Yes, they did, but I'm still feeling a bit down about my accident. Don't worry about it too much, Adam. The accident wasn't your fault, and we've all had our fair share of incidents. I've never had an accident. I'm always careful. I'm not reckless like you, little engines. Oh, you never had an accident, you say? Well, I suddenly recall a certain engine needing my help to get up the hill, but my mind is a bit faded. High spirits. It could happen to any engine. Can happen to any engine, you say? Well, how come it has only happened to you so far? Now that's where you're wrong, little Edward. Remember your buddy Eagle? He also got stuck on the hill. Oh, really? Said Edward. I don't remember that happening. Please enlighten me. Whatever. Your mind is probably so shriveled up, you can't remember what you did yesterday. Shut up, said Adam. Edward may be old, but he'll surprise us all. And you never know, one day you could just fall to pieces. Such things could never happen to big, strong engines like me. You see, I thunder down the line. I am the king of the truck. King of the trucks? Don't make me laugh. As a matter of fact, us engines who built the line should be rightfully recognized as the kings. Your little main line that you run on, all built by the Wellsworth and Suttery, Tidmouth and Elsbridge, and Soda and Mainline Railways. So please be a bit more respectful and grateful for the line you get to run on. Gentlemen, calm down. We are respectable engines and shouldn't be arguing like little children. Tell that to Adam. He's the one who thinks that he's all high and mighty. No, I am telling the both of you. Gordon just scoffed. At least I'm the one that doesn't let oncoming trucks push me into a turntable, well. That wasn't my fault, you big hippopotamus son of a... Okay, look, I am sorry for losing my cool, but I am tired of engines blaming me for something that was completely out of my control. And anyways, who was the stupid idiot who let those trucks run free down the line? That stupid idiot, would be me. What? Okay, I'm sorry. But ever since the Fat Director bricked up Henry in the tunnel, he's been giving random engines some of his jobs. And yesterday, I had to pull half of his train all the way from Crosby to the harbor. So you're telling me that a small engine like you expected to make it to the harbor without anything bad happening? Okay, that's it. I was trying to be nice and explain myself for an innocent accident, but you come in here and start yelling at everybody and start labeling me as a little engine. Okay, everyone, settle down. I will not tell anyone this again. Otherwise, I'll go and get the fat director myself and have him deal with this whole mess. Understood? Okay, I'll take that as a yes. Now, how about to pass the time, you hear about a little story that I was told back in my Brian days. Wait. Earlier, you said something about being respectable engines and not acting like children, but here you are, telling us a bedtime story like we are children. Well, if you want to act like children, then I'll treat you like children. Now hush, this story is a good one. It all started a long time ago. On a faraway line lived a tank engine with no name, only a number, number 1, which is what people referred her as. She looked a lot like me and Thomas actually, with 6 small wheels, a short stumpy funnel, a short stumpy boiler, and a short stumpy dome. Unlike us, she didn't have a face, but she didn't need one, because if you were to ask anyone, they would always say the same thing. She can speak to us even without a face. She speaks to us with the many various engine sounds she makes. She would work tirelessly day and night on her little line. And since there was something so pretty about the line, it went strictly from an industrial line to a passenger and freight line. She deeply enjoyed this and would often run her quarry runs with her passenger runs. One day, while waiting at the station for her passengers to enter the coaches, number 1 heard a very strange noise. It sounded like another engine, but she was the only engine working on the line, so she was very puzzled until another engine came into the goods station. She was very surprised. She was very confused and wondered who the engine was. The engine was resting in the hot sun and was making very weird noises, as if to say, "Hello, my name is number 6. I'll be running the passenger trains on this line." She also came without a face. Number 1 was not amused, and she was also making very questionable noises, as if she was trying to say, go away, this is my line." And soon, she puffed away feeling very angry. Number 6 was parked right next to the berth where number 1 was staying. Although no sound came from them, it was as if that number 6 was telling number 1, "I'm going out tomorrow. The director said I could pull my first passenger train. What do you think of that?" And that number 1 said, "Puh, I've been running this line for many years. I do not need some green goblin taking over my work." And after that, they remained silent for the rest of the night. Next day, number 6 was at the station with her passenger train. She was very excited and took great joy in pulling the train. Number 1, who was sitting on the goods line with a quarry train, was still feeling a bit salty about number 6 taking her passenger train. The guard blew his whistle, and in a flash, number 6 departed with the passenger train. Number 1 watched as number 6 passed him with his passenger train, feeling very green with envy.
Number 6 performed good with the passenger duties, but one fateful day, when Number 1 was called away, he had to pull one of his freight trains all the way to the quarry. Number 6 found his train in one of the good sidings. He coupled up to his train as if he felt very confident about it, and thought nothing bad was gonna happen, but boy oh boy would he be wrong. Soon, Number 6 was ready to leave with his train, and with a loud whistle, he puffed away down the line. Meanwhile, Number 1 returns to the line and heads to the quarry with a very heavy train of stone. While heading to the quarry, she saw Number 6 who was dangerously dangling on the broken bridge, and she had an idea. And soon, she parks the train out of the way so she can unleash her plan. Soon, her crew uncouple her from the train, and she heads over to help Number 6. Then, she blew her whistle as if to say, "Ready when you are." Number 6 didn't reply, she just blew some steam. Once number 6 was checked for any damages, number 1 dragged him all the way home. By the time they arrived home, the sun was already starting to set. Number 1 soon took the train to the goods station so she could pull it the next morning once the bridge was repaired. And number 6, well, she was eager to get a rest in the sheds. That night, when number 1 was getting ready to depart with her train, number 6 came along. Really, number 6 was there because the crews wanted to talk with each other, but in their own language, it was like number 6 was saying, "Thank you for saving me, and safe travels," and number 1 said, "Thank you, and I'm sorry I was so rude to you. Goodbye." And that's the end of the story. Of course, this was just the beginning, and that number 1 and number 6 would embark on many adventures together. And I hope you learned the lesson of this story, that even at the biggest enemies can be the best of friends at the end of the day. Not the best story, but very touching. And Thomas and Gordon, I'm sorry for being very rude to both of you. That's okay, and I'm sorry too. I shouldn't have mocked you for your accident. You couldn't have done anything differently to stop it. And I'm sorry too. I should have taken more care with the trucks. Later, once all the engines fell asleep, Edward spoke up to Timothy. Timothy, was that story true? Well, technically, yes and no. You see, back in my Brighton days, I used to know an engine that looked exactly like the 2 engines. And yes, they were both faceless. And the whole thing about their own language, I completely invented that, along with the line they worked on. Then why didn't you just tell them that? Oh well, I wanted to find a way to make peace between them, and I wanted to have a bit of fun with them. And with that, Timothy and Edward both drifted off to sleep. Skarloey and Renius are the best of friends, close as brothers, some might say, working on their little railway every day. But nothing is ever perfect. Skarloey and Renius have been working on their little line for many years, and are getting old and tired and pretty worn out. One day, Renius was at the station talking with Edward. I don't know anymore, said Renius. Me and Skarloey are the only engines on this line, and the workload is starting to pile and pile up by the coming days. We might as well just close up shop altogether. Come now, Renius. You've made it this far. Why stop now? There's always a little room for hope. What is there to hope for, Edward? I mean, Skarloey can't run anymore, and I've been doing all the work on my own. I'm really sorry, Renius. I just don't know what to say. I've never seen your line in such a state. Oh well, Edward, that's just life for you. All good things must come to an end. Even so, Renius, your railway still plays an integral part to this island. I mean, you have such beautiful sights on your line which bring in so many tourists, and you bring us our slate. And what's the point of all that slate or scenic views if there aren't any engines to run the line? I'm telling you, Edward, this railway is on its last legs. I can't argue with you there, but who knows, maybe something good will happen. I don't know, Edward. Everything seems to just get worse and worse by the passing day. Now, if I want to keep this railway afloat, I have to be off. Bye, Edward. And he puffed away, still feeling quite sad. Edward really wished he could do something. Hello, Skarloey. Hello, Renius. How's the railway going? Same old, same old. That's something at least. Anything new happen? No, nothing really. We're really stuck in a tight predicament, aren't we? Yes, Renius, we are. And I don't know how to get us out. You've already done enough, maybe even not more. But it still isn't enough to save our old little line. Oh well, at least we had a good run. Can't say I can complain. Oh, come on, Skarloey. We still have a good 5 years left in us. We aren't that old. Thanks for the encouraging words, Renius. But I can't say that our railway will make it with the state it is in right now. Those Mid-Sodor Railway chaps are so lucky. You're right there, but we'd be lying if we didn't say that they've had their problems too. Have you heard of their number 2? You mean Stanley? No, I mean Smudger. No, their number 2 is Stanley. You know, the engine who keeps derailing off the tracks. No, that's Smudger you're talking about. No, I'm pretty sure that's Stanley. Okay, let's just not argue about this. I mean, who knows? This could be our final few days on our little line. Yeah, I suppose you're right. Hey, have you been thinking about Tally Flynn and Dolgoth? Not a single day has passed without me thinking about them. I miss them very much. I hope they're better than us right now. I'm sure they are, and you know what? So are we. Instead of focusing on all the bad stuff, maybe we should just try and focus on the good stuff. We've made so much memories on this island. I suppose you're right, and you know what? Yeah, we do still have a good 5 years left in us. We've still got plenty of puff and huff. And I reckon that tomorrow we're gonna wake up and all will be good again, just like it used to be. And with that, the 2 engines fell asleep, still with a bit of doubt in their mind, but they felt a bit better. And I think that they're going to be alright. Do you? But the next day, the 2 old engines were in for a surprise. Ah! Oh my god, I am so sorry. I didn't know how else to wake you up, you see, and I kind of got nervous. I am just so sorry. I am never going to listen to Stuart and Falcon again. Okay. Excuse my language, but how the hell did you get here? And who even are you? Edward just laughed. Over here, Renius. Oh, right. Well, since we're already awake, we might as well introduce ourselves. Hi, I'm Renius, and my friend over here is Skarloey. Pleased to meet the both of you. And I'm Proteus, from the Mid-Sodor Railway. Oh, that's interesting. Excuse me for the question, but what are you doing here? Oh, I'm glad you asked. You see, your controller has informed my controller of the struggles you've been facing recently, so he decided to send me and some rolling stock over here to help you two out. Well, that's amazing. We can certainly use an extra set of wheels to help us. Great. I'm ready when you need me. And he was ready when they needed him. He proved to be a great asset to the railway, and was really hardworking and really reliable. And as an added bonus, the Skarloey Railway got some new rolling stock from the Mid-Sodor Railway, which included some nice and sleek bogie coaches. But there was a problem. You see, Falcon and Proteus looked exactly alike, and some of the sleigh trucks from the Mid-Sodor Railway mistaked him for Falcon, and they hated Falcon, and would often try and push him off the tracks. One morning, Renius and Proteus were talking at the station. Proteus was fuming. The silly trucks pushed him off the tracks again, and he was not happy about it. His driver was checking him over for damages while he and Renius talked. Those silly trucks won't leave me alone for a second. They keep bumping and bashing right into me. I don't know if I'm standing on my dome or my wheels. Well, if you ask me, said Renius, you're standing the right way up. But anyways, give it some time. I'm sure those trucks will recognize that you're not Falcon. And why do they hate him so much anyway? He's never careful when handling trucks, said Proteus. He bumps and bashes them all around like peas in a pod. I can see why they hate him so much. But what I don't understand is how they keep mistaking me for him. I'm literally gold, he's blue, and we have nameplates. They're either colorblind or just blind. Trucks do tend to be like that sometimes, but have you ever tried telling them that you're not Falcon? I have, but they just think that I'm Falcon lying to them. Before the little engines could say anything else, a big mainline engine was pulling up to the platform with a passenger train, and he was looking very angry. Blech. You rotten old tin pots are still running on this island. But oh well, I shan't worry for too long. You'll be scrapped soon. Excuse me? What did you just say? You heard me, you old tin pot. Or are you just too shriveled up to hear a word I say? Hello? Is anyone in there? Why don't you just piss off, you old brute? Your line is clear. You be on your way now. The engine snarled at Renius and promptly puffed away. What a pleasant engine he was, said Proteus. Now, I best be on my way too, and he puffed away, still feeling very cross at the engine. All day, Proteus was in a bad mood. He later returned to the sheds, still feeling a bit grumpy about the engine. Hello, Proteus, started Skarloey. The manager wanted me to tell you that you have to take a coal train to the works. They're trying to steam up an engine over there, and they need some coal. There's some coal trucks waiting for you at the transfer yards. Alright, I'll get to it. Just stop being so uptight. I've had a very rough morning. Rennie has told me so, and pay no mind to those big engines. They're always complaining about something every single day. Easier said than done. I don't know how these big engines do it, but they just make it so hard not to listen to them. Trust me, I know, but just focus on your own thing and everything will be alright. Now you be off. The manager won't be happy if the coal doesn't arrive. Proteus knew that Skarloey was right, so he puffed away to collect his train. He arrived at the yards to find a line of unhappy coal trucks. Right then, said Proteus, we better get a move on if we want this coal delivered. Oh, you don't want to go? Well, too bad it wasn't a question, you toilet on wheels. Now get a move on.
We don't want to go.
Oh, well, too bad. And he gave them a large bump.
Oh, that hurts. What's the
Shut up, said Proteus. Now that's enough. I want no more nonsense from you lot. You understand? All Proteus got in reply was a faint hissing noise. Good, he said. I'll take that as a yes. Now get a move on. The trucks weren't happy and started hatching a plan to pay Proteus out. Now, if you want to go to the works via the Skarloey Railway, you would have to be careful, as you would have to go over a section of tracks that overlap the standard gauge line. Of course, Skarloey and Rennius would be careful and kept a watchful eye whenever crossing this track to not get hit by another engine, but Proteus completely forgot about this. So he simply just rolled over the points with his short train of coal cars and never bothered to check if an engine was coming. He went over the first crossing with no issues, but that's when the truck's plan was starting to take play. They were just starting to cross over the second crossing when it happened. What's going on? Asked Proteus. Why have we stopped?
We're tired of listening to you. You bump and bash us around like we're nothing. We're gonna stay here until you're kinder to us.
Pull the other one, you rotten boxes on wheels. We have to get moving. We can't stay here. We might...
We aren't going to listen to a word you say unless it's an apology.
Of course, the silly cars weren't aware on how dangerous this was. And then, it happened. An engine was rolling down the line with a small train of cars, unaware of the danger behind it. We have to go, said Proteus. Said the cars. And then it happened. Thankfully, Proteus's crew managed to make it out of the crash with only a few cuts and bruises on their bodies, and Proteus was more surprised than hurt. But I'm sorry to say that the silly trucks didn't make it out, and the last sound that they made was an ear-piercing splintering noise of all their wood crushing under the heavy trucks. A dark silence fell upon the yards. No one dared to say anything or do anything. They just viewed from afar the horrible wreckage of splinter and wood that used to be a line of trucks once so filled with life, so proud, and now nothing. Proteus was soon sent to the works, and he felt terrible about the whole ordeal. He didn't know what to think. Hello there, said a voice. Proteus looked over, only to see a very smartly painted engine looking over at him.
Hello, said Proteus. Do we know each other? No, we haven't, said the engine. Then why are you staring so bluntly at me like that, if you don't mind me asking? Just interested, I guess, replied the engine. Sorry if it's a touchy subject, but did you have a nasty accident like me and that's why you're here? Not as bad as yours, per se. In short, I just crashed through a shed wall because I was being careless. Oh, I'm very sorry to hear that. Oh well, he went on, I was rude and nasty to my friends and look where that got me. Proteus thought long and hard about what the engine told him, but that's a story for another day.